So it's 2 a.m. and you're technically in bed, but you're not really sleeping because there's a monitor nearby, a bed alarm in place, and every sound makes you wonder what's going on. You did the thing people tell you to do. You went to bed, you're trying to sleep, but your nervous system did not get the memo because someone you love needs you to stay alert. And your body knows it. That was my life for a season not too long ago. And it told me something I think many responsible women need to hear. Sometimes self-care and your real life responsibilities just don't mix. Now, that may sound strange coming from someone with my background, but it's true because it's easy to say, get more sleep, eat better, exercise, reduce stress, and protect your peace. But what happens when your real life does not make room for the wellness advice people keep trying to give you? What happens when you know what your body needs, but the responsibility in front of you is real? It's something that you can't just eliminate, delegate, manipulate, or walk away from. You're listening to Making Space for Me, the podcast for women who spend so much time caring for everyone and everything else that they often neglect their own needs. I'm Otanthia Williams-Brady, nurse practitioner and certified life coach. And here we have honest conversations about how to practice self-priority as stewardship so you can better care for your health and well-being. Today we're talking about what it looks like to care for yourself when life is demanding more from you than usual. Not in theory, but in true life situations, in caregiving seasons, in hospital seasons, in seasons where you're exhausted and stretched, but still need it. Because sometimes the issue isn't that you don't know how to care for yourself. Sometimes the issue is that your life is requiring so much from you that the usual self-care advice just does not fit. And I know this personally. When a family member suffered a life-changing injury, I was in a season where responsibility and self-care just did not go hand in hand. I spent 3 months at the hospital pretty much daily, and during that time, my normal habits were gone. I was eating hospital food every day. I was sitting bedside for long hours because you never know when the doctor's going to show up. There was no working out, no social time, no chill days, no normal schedule, no sense of rhythm. But there was stress, uncertainty, emotional exhaustion, and the constant weight of not knowing what was going to happen next. And then care moved home, and that brought a different kind of responsibility. My family member was a fall risk, so even though I would go to bed at night, I wasn't sleeping in the way people mean when they say you need to get 8 hours of sleep. I was sleeping lightly, listening consistently, checking, waiting, trying to rest while also trying to make sure nothing happened. And I think that is the part that people don't always understand. When people say you need to take care of yourself, I understand the intention, but sometimes the question is how. And there's truth in that how. I have had to ask myself that question on more than one occasion. How do you take care of yourself when the responsibilities are real and consuming? How do you protect your health when the season you're in is actively disrupting your sleep, your food, your movement, your stress level, and your ability to breathe? As a nurse practitioner and as someone who has studied lifestyle medicine, I genuinely believe in the power of lifestyle factors to protect and improve our health. Factors like restorative sleep, nutritious foods, physical activity, stress management, and social connection, they impact us more than we realize. But I also believe we have to be honest about something. There are seasons when the ideal version of wellness simply don't fit the life you're actually living. As a culture, we sometimes talk about self-care as if it's always available, as if the only thing standing between you and a good night's sleep, a balanced meal, or a workout is the decision to prioritize yourself. And while that may be true in many instances, it does not hold true in all of them. At baseline, I do believe women need to prioritize their needs more, 100%. But telling a woman who's already stretched thin to just prioritize herself It's not helpful unless we're willing to talk about what that actually looks like in the middle of real responsibility. And this is where I want to make a distinction because some seasons require a different definition of care. There's ideal self-care, and then there's protective stewardship. Ideal self-care may look like 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, home-cooked meals, regular workouts, quiet mornings, therapy, journaling, hydration, sunlight, and a consistent routine. And again, those things are good and 100% necessary, but protective stewardship asks a different question. It asks, what's the smallest way I can protect myself in the middle of what this season requires? Because sometimes you can't do the full thing, but you still can do something. You may not be able to get 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So the question may become, how can I protect the sleep I can get? Maybe that's asking someone to take a shift. Maybe it's resting when the other person is resting, even though there are other things you could be doing. Maybe it's admitting this isn't sustainable and I need help. Maybe you can't eat the way you normally would. So the question becomes, how can I fuel my body enough in this season? That could look like keeping protein snacks in your bag, drinking water before coffee, not because it fixes everything, but because dehydration directly causes and precipitates physical and mental fatigue. So it's like one small way to give your body something it needs. Sometimes it's about choosing the best option available, even if it's not perfect. Maybe it's asking someone to bring you food instead of saying, I'm fine, when you're really not fine, or delivering real food from a real restaurant. Okay, you can't get to the gym. So maybe the question becomes, how can I help my body not completely shut down? Maybe that looks like walking the hospital halls around the room so you can still see when people are coming in and out. Stretching for 5 minutes bedside, rolling your shoulders, unclenching your jaw, or taking the stairs. Not that those things replace exercise, but because your body still needs some type of movement when you're carrying a lot. And no, you can't eliminate the stress you're going through during a significantly difficult time. So the question may become, how can I give my nervous system small moments of relief? That could look like stepping into the bathroom and taking a few slow, deep breaths. Maybe it's stepping outside for a moment of sunshine when you see the opportunity. Possibly praying in the car. Crying when you need to cry instead of swallowing it down. Calling one safe person and telling the truth. Or listening to something inspirational or motivational through your headphones. That all matters. Self-care in a hard season may not look like thriving. It may look like keeping yourself from completely collapsing. And if that is the best you can do in that season, that still counts. I want to say that clearly because so many women feel bad when they're not able to maintain themselves during these seasons. They think like, I know better, so I should be doing better. But knowing better does not mean you have the energy, time, help, or capacity to do everything the way you would in a lighter season. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, what am I carrying right now? And what would realistic care look like in this season? Because there are seasons where the standard cannot be perfection. The standard becomes preservation. Preserving and protecting your mind, body, spirit, and capacity where you can. Sometimes the most powerful act of self-care is not adding another thing to your list. Sometimes it's telling the truth about what this season is requiring from you. That is one of the reasons why I talk so much about self-priority as stewardship. Because self-priority as stewardship is not about selfishness. That stewardship is about recognizing that your health is also something you are responsible for caring for. And remembering that you matter too, especially in the hard seasons. Your responsibility is real, but so is the toll that it takes on you. The exhaustion is real. The emotional weight and lack of support is real. The decision fatigue, the body tensions, and that resentment that can start to build, that's real. The feeling of losing yourself in the middle of all of it, is real, and you don't have to pretend that it's not affecting you just because you love the person you're caring for. You can love someone and still be tired. You can be grateful and overwhelmed. You can be responsible and still need help. Two things can be true at once. And there is one more part of this that I think is important. When the acute crisis eases and life starts to slow down, you may still need recovery. A lot of women push through the hard season and then expect themselves to immediately go back to normal. You went through something that required a lot from you. So you have to give yourself permission to recover from it, because sometimes we're so relieved that the worst part is over that we never stop to acknowledge what it took out of us and what we really need to kind of refill and move forward. But it matters. So today I want to leave you with this. When responsibility and self-care do not mix, start with honesty. Ask yourself, what is this season really requiring from me? What is one small way I can protect my health today? And what expectations do I need to release? You may not be able to do everything, but you're still allowed to do something. You're allowed to remember that you matter even in the middle of what everyone else needs. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another woman who may be carrying a responsibility that makes self-care feel very hard right now. As always, I want to thank you for listening to Making Space for Me. And until next time, be gentle with yourself and keep making space for you.